Hi and welcome. I'm Amanda from Wild and Free Ventures. Today we're going to do a core workout. So the focus will be the core, but we will get through the rest of the body as well. But the sort of target area that we're going to be working through today is the core. So today's practice will be another strong one, but quite invigorating. And we will start and finish the practice with some lovely sort of gentle movements to sort of settle ourselves into our body, and at the end just unwind and unravel a little. So for this practice, all you need, I always recommend having a blanket or a cushion just to sit on. So I'm sat on at the moment, just lifting my hips, just allows the lower back to release in the legs, so that when we start our practice with a little bit of mindfulness of breathing, we can just relax into it. You're welcome to sit in any way that feels comfortable for you. You do not need to sit in a cross-legged position, so just come into a seat that's good for you. Obviously we need a yoga mat, and if you've got a block today, we're going to bring in a bit of arm strength alongside the core work. But like always, when I usually mention props, we don't necessarily have to have the prop, because we can do what we're doing with or without. And sometimes I mention props and we don't end up using them, so don't worry about them too much. An alternative to a block though can be a nice thick book if you've got anything on your shelf that might work as a good block. Just again, if it's got a sort of slippy surface, I just like to say that maybe just working without it might be a little bit easier. Otherwise, just come into a comfortable seat, and we're just going to spend a few moments just breathing. We're going to start with a little breathing exercise, and then we're going to come down to the ground. So just come into a seat that's comfortable for you. I tend to recommend sitting on something, and depending on whether it's first thing in the morning or sort of late in the evening, the body's had a chance to warm up. In the morning, sometimes sitting on something a little higher, so if you've got a folded blanket or a cushion, you might want to fold that again, and it just allows a little more lift for the hips and just relaxes these legs a little. And if your legs are like this in your cross-legged position, that's perfectly fine. It's just a way that feels comfortable for you, as long as it's not causing strain or stress in the body. And also feel free just to have your legs out. Just sit there in whatever way feels good for you. But we're just going to settle with a little bit of a breathing exercise. So let's take a couple of shoulder rolls just to start our practice. It's always a good way just to tap into how the body's feeling, an area that often gets tight. And then let's take an inhale, sweeping the arms up, spread the fingers, maybe interlace or grab one wrist, and then we just stretch up and just have a little wriggle from side to side, just releasing out on the seams of the body. And then take the arms down on an exhale, reaching behind, maybe interlacing again. Doesn't really matter, just reaching back, dropping the chin to the chest. And then let's take the arms out in line with the shoulders. Turn those palms there facing forward. Then we're just going to turn them up and down, just moving and releasing all those muscles all the way from the fingertips into the wrists, into the lower and the upper arms, and into the shoulders and a little bit into the neck. Just to release off a little bit. Lovely. And then come back down again. Take another shoulder roll. And then let's inhale, sweep the arms back, up and over. Lovely deep breath into the belly, root down with those sitting bones or whatever's in contact with the mat. And as we exhale, let's take fists with our wrists, and we're just going to wiggle them down on the exhale. So just rotating those wrists in those fist-like positions all the way down, just getting a little bit of release into those wrists, because we want to wake those up today as well. Let's do that again. Inhale, sweeping up. Make those fists, and exhale. So breathing in and out through the nose now, that's comfortable. If you're working with any allergies, then feel free to breathe through the mouth if you need to. Then take the hands to wherever's comfortable onto your legs. So if we turn the palms down, we're grounding. If we turn the palms up, we're receiving. But whichever one you choose, let's take the first finger and the thumb together. Just getting that connection, that mudra, just keeping that energy within the body. So whichever one feels comfortable for you. And just keep a little soft bend into the elbows as well. So we're not reaching out and grabbing on and sort of doing anything energetic with our arms. We're letting them become nice and relaxed. Okay, closing the eyes. And then just for this first few breaths, just simply observing what's going on the inside. Notice if there's any holding. Is there anywhere that you can relax and soften? Maybe the hips, the legs, maybe the belly. Take a deep breath into the belly. And if you feel it's quite hard to, at this moment, breathe deep into that belly, don't worry about it. It just means that you've been breathing up into the chest area. And as we settle and soften with this breathing exercise, we will ground down, we will create space in the body, and we will draw that breath deeper and deeper into the lungs. And then just come back to your normal, natural, effortless breath. With these eyes closed, or maybe you've got a soft gaze, just shutting off that external stimulus and distractions around us, just turning inwards for a few moments. Bring that awareness to the sense of your hearing. So notice any sounds in the distance. Just taking a moment to observe without attaching to those sounds. So simply just seeking out the sounds, experiencing the sounds, no labelling, and just allow the mind to wander from one sound to another. Just observing the sounds for what they are. Not labelling good or bad. And from my end, whether you heard that or not, just had a dog bark in the background and then a car drive past. So any sounds that maybe that you would normally sort of find or label bad or annoying, just take a smile to those sounds. One of the benefits of practicing meditation or mindfulness or breathing in our own homes as well as yoga is we have to deal with those distractions of everyday life. We're not in this perfect yoga room, soundproof, without the external distractions, and it makes our meditation or our practice so much more stronger because you learn to work with the distractions of everyday life, to detach from them, and to just be. And then you can take these moments, your breathing, your mindfulness, your meditation, your practice anywhere, and not worry about it being perfect. Perfect's boring anyway. Who is perfect? And then bringing your awareness closer to the sound of your breath. Maybe if you haven't already, coming into that ujjayi breath, which is simply contracting the back of the throat, like a Darveda sound or oceanic breath. With that slight contraction, we can just hear and feel that breath moving in and out of the body. It's almost like you're steaming up a mirror or some sunglasses, so it's like a sound, but you're breathing in and out through the nose, so it's more sound that you can hear. Now I want you to visualise the breath in your collarbones. So across the chest area, where we breathe most commonly or often. So breathing into the chest area. Feeling the chest expand, that gentle rise of the shoulders. And if we started to take that ujjayi breath, notice if you can just slow the exhale, slow and lengthen the exhale a little. So the reason why I'm starting with a breathing exercise and really grounding us for our practice is because we'll use that breathing as our focus and as our strength throughout our core work, because core work can be quite challenging, but using the breath can make us stronger, more steady, more focused in our practice. One more breath into that chest area. And then we're drawing that breath a little further down the body into the ribs. And maybe it might feel good to take the hands and just place them around the rib area. If you can't quite get the ribs, just at the bottom of the ribs is fine. In whatever way feels good for you. There's no right or wrong, just holding the ribs in whatever way. If you can't get the thumb behind, then just placing the hands, a full hand onto the ribs. Just making sure we're not straining or causing any tension in the arms or the neck. And just feel that you can drop the hands at any point. So we can now breathe into the side of the body, into the ribs. Nice and full, so you can feel that expansion, visualizing all those little muscles in between the ribs, which are intercostal muscles, expanding like a balloon on the inhale. Feel how the side body moves out, and then as you exhale, it slowly deflates. Really listening to the sound of that breath, visualizing an ocean maybe, as the water draws in and out of the shore. Taking one more breath like this. And then whether you used your hands or not, an option now to place the hands onto the belly, just gently, but if the shoulders are feeling achy or the arms are feeling achy, just come back into either the palms facing down with the first finger and the thumb touching, or palms facing up. Maybe you want to change if you're in that grounding mudra, you want to maybe now turn the palms up. And as we turn the palms up, another thing that happens is we roll open the shoulders a little, opening the shoulders, releasing them a little, and opening the chest and the heart. So either doing that or placing the hands onto the belly. We're now going to draw that breath all the way down into the belly. Feeling that rise and fall of the belly. And don't force the breath, so just subtle, just breathing to wherever your breath wants to go to. Don't worry about how big the breath is, or how big the belly expands. Just breathing and feeling that breath moving down deeper into the lungs, the belly expanding, that diaphragm moving. Just thinking about all those muscles and organs within the body just moving, expanding and rearranging themselves as we bring the breath into the body. And as we exhale, everything deflates and softens and moves down. Just visualizing now all the internal organs, all that movement inside us, changing from the inhale to the exhale. And that space you're creating in the body with your breath. Staying with that Ujjayi breath, and if we've lost it, come back to contracting the back of the throat. And then wherever you are with those hands, we encourage us all to turn the palms up, unhook those fingers and just leave the palms open, the fingers curling gently. And then just notice coming back to that easy breath now, like letting go of that breath, that breathing exercise, and just notice how you're feeling. Notice if there's any sensations in the body, maybe a tingling. Can you feel a temperature change in and around the body? Can you notice the shoulders? Are they feeling more relaxed now, or are we still holding a bit of tension? If we are, let's take an inhale into the shoulders and then sigh out through the mouth. Try and relax them a little bit more. Relax the space between your eyebrows, soften the jaw, relax in the hip area. Let go of that gripping in and around the legs and the seat. Just settling into this stillness, this focus. Because I want you to connect with the breath today, because we're going to use the breath, like I mentioned, to really focus on holding our poses, to breathe deeply, taking long exhales to focus. And find the energy, firing up the center of our body, that core, tapping into that willpower in our Manipura chakra. And then slowly from here, gently flickering the eyes open and just taking a gaze to the floor. Don't worry about looking at the screen or anywhere, just open the eyes. Allow that sense of sight to come back into your senses, your awareness. And then we're going to just move really slowly. So taking away the props maybe that you've had to sit underneath you. If you have got a prop, just pop it off your mat to the side. We'll come to that at some point. Maybe just bring it to the right side of you. And we're going to come a long ways on our mat. We're just going to come into a seated position. Again, let's not rush into the movement. Just moving nice and slowly, keeping that lovely stillness. And then sitting with the knees bent, just taking the hands onto the shins and just lifting and lengthening. Starting to bring awareness into the body and the areas that we're going to start to work with. So as we sit in this position here with our knees bent, can you feel those hip flexors in between those creases where the legs meet the hips? Notice if they're feeling tired, just simply sitting here in this position. Lengthen the spine, roll the shoulders back, squeezing those shoulders down the back. Then lifting and reaching up the crown. So simply in this position here, we're using those hip flexors to hold those legs, pressing those feet into the mat. I'm going to take the hands and lean back into them, fingers facing towards you. Roll the shoulders again, open up the chest. And maybe take the gaze up, press into the fingers, start to activate those fingers a little. And then as we exhale, let's just round. So just going to move a little bit like this. So it's almost like moving the pelvis as well. So as we inhale, we arch in the back, we expand the belly, we open up the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades back, press into the fingers, take the gaze up. As we exhale, we soften, we round in the back, pelvis tilts. Tailbone tilts, and we round and draw the chin in. I'm just going to keep moving like that. So moving with your breath. So inhaling, lovely big chest. Exhaling, rounding and softening. So just finding that rhythm with the breath and the movement. That pelvis rocking forward and back, lower back opening and rounding, the belly expanding and softening, the chest opening and rounding. So again, a little bit of movement into the shoulders, bringing the head into the equation as well. The next time we come up, press into those fingers, squeeze the shoulder blades back and down a little bit more. Lovely deep breath, and as we exhale, come up into a seated position, reach the arms out in front of you. So we're going to start with a bit of a core exercise in a boat. So take the arms back behind us. We're going to lift the feet up so the ankles are in line with the knees, and then maybe walk the hands back a little bit more. We're going to keep these elbows bent, but keep the spine long and the shoulders reaching, squeezing back as much as we can. Flexing the feet or pointing, whatever works for you. Sometimes some people prefer pointing and flexing, just whatever engages that lower core. And we're going to exhale as we lower into a low boat, straighten the legs, bring the back down. And then inhale as we bring the knees in, open the chest at the same time, long spine. Exhale, lower. Inhale back to that high boat. Nice. Exhale, lower. All the way, nice and controlled and long. Inhale back to center. Can you feel those hip flexors already starting to work? Exhale, lower. 2 more of these. Inhale, lift back up. Really squeeze the belly towards the top of the thighs. Keep those ankles in line with the knees if you can. Exhale, lower. Last one. Inhale, lifting back up. Lovely. Drop those feet round and just hug those knees and let the shoulders soften, the head soften. It's already slow, steady, but a lot of hard work. So we're working, when we say the core, into the whole of the core here. So we think about the core being in our belly. The hip flexors are part of the core. The obliques, the side of the body, they're part of the core. So it's 360. The core works all the way around the body. So we're going to get into everything. So let's inhale, sweep the arms in a circular motion behind us. Place those fingers back into the mat and then lift those feet up again. So this time we're going to squeeze the legs together. Imagine you've got a 50-pound note between your thighs, squeezing them nice and tightly towards one another. And we're going to do 2 more of those. Exhaling as we squeeze the legs together. Inhaling as we come back up. Really open the chest, pressing into the fingers, long spine. Exhaling, coming back down again. Shaking as good as the muscles working. Inhaling, coming back up again. Nice. This time we're going to come from side to side. So as we exhale and lower, we're going to inhale, draw the knees over towards the left shoulder. So both knees over, squeezing the legs together. Exhale, lower. Inhale over towards the right shoulder. Let's not cheat and bring that shoulder to it. We'll bring the knees to the shoulder. Lower back down again. Back over to that left side. Can you feel those hip flexors starting to wake up now? I hope you're getting a nice little massage into those glutes at the same time. Exhale, lower. And then over towards that right shoulder. Woo. Now just take the soles of the feet together. Stay where you are. I'm just turning to look at you and just let those knees drop out. Take the hands onto the shins or the ankles, wherever it feels good. Lift and lengthen the spine. Squeeze the shoulder blades back and down your back so you can open the chest. Getting a nice tall spine and letting those legs draw out, maybe pushing the knees towards the mat, feeling a nice stretch and openness in and around the hips and the groin there. Lovely. And then let's butterfly those legs, squeezing them in and exhaling them, drawing towards the earth. Inhaling in and exhaling down. Just keep moving with your breath now. I really want to encourage you to work with your breath. So although this might be slow to start with, it's certainly going to pick up its pace today, but we're also going to be working slowly for the purpose of working harder, awareness and consciousness into those muscles. We don't have to work fast to build up a sweat, and we can work much deeper and more consciously with our body and our muscles if we slow everything down. So 1 more of those, lovely. And then let's take the hands behind us, stretch those feet and legs out, and then just take a little wiggle. That should feel quite nice. Okay, and then from this position here, taking those hands behind, planting the feet back into the mat, we're going to really sort of wake up these feet now. So peel up the toes, and then see if you can plant the little pinky toe down, and that 3rd toe, and then 2nd, and so forth, going all the way down. And then lift up the big toe, and then each toe 1 by 1 coming all the way back up again. Now the big toe down first, and probably your fingers doing weird things, your tongue sticking out. And the reason why it's so hard to move those feet is because it's the longest or the furthest part of our body from our brain. We don't often talk to our feet. So lifting up the little pinky toe, that 4th toe, 3rd toe, 2nd toe, big toe. And then the big toe goes down first, 2nd toe, 3rd toe, and 1 by 1. And you'll find like clumps of them to go together, and one will play game and then the other one won't. But yeah, so we haven't set up those neural pathways, so we don't talk to our feet, so we don't communicate with them in the way that they're not going to respond. They don't know how to respond. So it's really good to work with the feet and do this sort of exercise to get more control of that area, because our feet is where it all starts. And if we have anything like fallen arches or any sort of injuries in and around the foot or the ankle area, that can affect the whole of our body, and it could be the left side of our body that's affecting our right side of the body. So the feet are really important. So a couple more of these, just waking up those toes, And then I want you to lift the heels. So they might not come far because we've got them bent, so just lifting them up, feeling the calves engaged, you might cramp, and then release back down again. Let's lift up the whole of the foot, so coming onto the heels now, so the whole foot comes up, waking up those Achilles, and then lowering the feet back down again, lifting those heels, just those millimeters off the ground, waking up those calves. Okay, so awareness into the feet. If we're cramping, just take the feet back out, give them a little wiggle. And now we've been leaning back into these hands. I want you to turn your fingers the opposite way, so away from you, so the heel of the hand is facing towards you. And that might feel a lot nicer because we've been sort of leaning probably into the wrist. Now pressing into the fingers there, and then bringing them out towards the sides of the fingers, face outwards. Okay, let's just sit up and give the wrists a bit of a shake and the hands a bit of a shake because we have been leaning into them for quite a while. If you're not used to being on your wrists, it can actually get quite sore. And this is why I talk a lot about the fingers as well, because if you activate and use the fingers, the palms of the hands, we're not putting all that pressure into the wrists. So a lovely big shake out, and then bring those hands back, fingers facing towards us. So from here, pressing into the whole of the sole of the foot, really sort of focus on that awareness of the ball of the foot as well. We tend to sort of roll to the outer edges. And then pressing into the fingers, the palms of the hands, so we're coming out of those wrists, we're going to start to lift the hips up, coming into our reverse tabletop. Okay, so when we're here, notice if you roll to the outer edges of your feet, press into the balls of the feet, see if you can lift a little bit higher in the hips, getting a lovely stretch into the shoulders here, but activating those hamstrings and the core. Squeeze the glute, and then lower back down again, nice and controlled, not rushing that movement. I know it's nice to come back down again. And then we go for that again. If we're finding those wrists are really starting to hurt, maybe try with the fingers facing backwards like we did. So inhale, lifting up. This time you might have a bit more space, but if you turn the palms around, it may be feeling different because we're getting into a different area. We're rotating in the shoulders, so it might not necessarily come higher. So lifting those hips a little bit more, squeezing those glutes, feeling the hamstrings fire up, draw the knees away from you, so towards the back of the room, and then exhale, come back down again. Let's make a choice whether we want to move those hands back, or that one work with us more, or just finding a new position that feels good for your hands. So this time, one more time, inhaling, lifting, and then from here, an extra little one, press into that left foot, really engage, lift the hips, and then let's extend and lengthen that right leg out long. If you want to, we can inhale up, exhale all the way down towards the ground. We can stay exactly where we are, keep the hips lifted, inhale the leg back up again so knee is in line with the other knee, and then lower that foot back down, lift the hips so they would have dropped, and then exhale, lower back down. Let's inhale, sweep the arms up. Woo. Take the hands onto the shoulders and just take a little shoulder roll there, just to release off those shoulders. And then round over those knees, releasing the head and the neck. Take 2 breaths here. I said one more, but obviously we've got another one, so we're going to do the other side of the leg. One more before we have a little breather. And then inhale, lifting and lengthening the spine. Let's cartwheel those hands behind us again, placing those fingers actively, consciously into the mat, pressing into the palms of the feet, peeling up the toes just to remind ourselves that they're there, placing them back down into the mat, thinking about the balls of the feet, as we then inhale and lift those hips back up. So either you just want to stay up here and breathe, or you maybe want to go for the second option, so shifting the weight into that right hand now, right foot. Make sure the hands are still engaged, fingertips as well, and then we extend out the left leg, pointing or flexing, whatever works for you. Maybe this is enough and you stay here and then lower the leg and carry on breathing with your hips lifted, knowing you can always come down at any point, or we lift the left leg up, lift the hips as well, exhale, lower all the way to the ground, keep the hips lifted, inhale back in line with the knee, bending that knee and placing the foot back in, lift the hips one more time, exhale, lower back down, inhale, lift, arms up and over. Lovely. And then let's take those soles of the feet together again. Let's take a hug, taking your opposite hands onto opposite shoulders, and then just have a little wiggle here. Nice. So just strengthening those arms a little before we get into the core. And then from here, let's extend those legs out. Inhale, lift and lengthen, take a slight bend into the knees, and then let's reach forward. We're looking to hinge at the hips, keep the chest open, arms a little wide in the shoulder distance, and we're taking the gaze forward. So we're not looking to reach the toes, we're not bending down, we're reaching forward, hinging at the hips. And like I said, bending the knees at this stage. We're still waking up the body. Lovely, inhaling up. Let's exhale, reach forward again, see there's a bit more space. And now, if you want to, turn the palms up, maybe soften in the upper body and come into a passive forward fold. Releasing the neck and the shoulders. So just stretching a little bit into the back body there. Two or three lovely, long, deep breaths here. And really enjoy these moments of stillness where we can just tap back into that breath. And then inhale, coming back up. Okay, so we're going to bend those feet again. We're going to come into our boat pose. So our boat pose, taking the hands behind those thighs if you would prefer. You can just lift the heels. We've been waking up the feet and playing with all these different movements into our legs. Or we can just take them hovering off the ground. Or take the ankles in line with the knees, but just make sure we're not then rounding. We want to lift and lengthen in the spine. And then we're going to draw those knees together. So that 50-pound note between your legs. This is where the block comes into it. So if you haven't got a block, you can do this without. But if you have got a block, I want you to hold that block out in front of you. We're going to take the hands and they're going to be flat. So just flat onto the side. And taking it sort of on the second width. So not the wider width, but the second width. So the flat part of the block is in front of you. Squeezing those blocks now, that block in between your hands. Your fingers are spread. We're going to inhale, lift up. And as we exhale, twist and lower towards the right side. Keeping those knees squeezing together, those thighs squeezing. Inhale, lifting up, lengthening the spine. And then exhale over towards the left side. Feel that shake. Inhale, lifting up. Lengthen here, root down in the sitting bones. Keep those ankles in line with the knees if you've brought them up. Exhale, lower towards the right side. Lovely, long, deep breaths. Inhale, deep into that belly. And then we exhale over towards the left. Inhale one more time up. Let's hold for 2. For 3, can you draw the belly and the upper thighs together a little bit more? Shaking is good. And then exhale, lower the feet, lower the block, and roll over and soften again. Maybe take your arms and hug the back of your thighs. Maybe a little rock. Whoo! So definitely working on that core today. I'm going to give it a lovely stretch in a few moments. And then releasing. Take the hands behind, extend out those legs. And then let's push into the fingers, open up the chest, releasing those shoulders a little. And just move and wiggle all the way down the body if that feels good. Okay, bending up those feet again. Inhale, lifting. And then as we exhale, I just want you to twist towards the right side. So take the arms out wide. So we're using the core, now getting into the oblique muscles. So see if we can push those arms back as we're pushing them against a wall. Lift and lengthen the spine a bit more. Inhale, lifting. And then as we exhale, twisting towards the left side, pushing those arms back as if you've got a wall behind you. See how much more energy we have to use in that core, not just the hip flexors, the obliques, all of the 360 of the core. Inhale, lifting. And then let's plant those hands behind us. So we're going to start to just wiggle out the body a bit more now. So as we lean back, I want you to bring those knees up and your ankles. And then we're just going to wobble from side to side. So I just want you to roll from side to side, almost massaging out those glutes. And then we're going to start to sort of move the legs like we've just done. So moving from side to side, but just moving quickly, just wriggling everything out. Should feel a little bit more stronger now. So bending and drawing the knee over to the left and then the right, and just moving around onto those glutes. And maybe one leg at a time, just moving around, not too thinking about it too much. And then release, legs out long. Lovely. Let's point and flex those toes, rotate them. Just get all those pops and clicks out of the body. Whew, it's a lot of hard work, isn't it? And then we're going to roll down onto the ground. So coming all the way down, planting those feet into the mat, knees bent. So we're going to do a couple of bridges now, just to stretch out in that core area, which feel really nice. So get a sense of your feet underneath your knees. It is a sense because you can't see them. So just what feels right, peeling the toes up, spreading them and placing them back into the earth. Same as we've been doing. Then lifting the heels up, so we're coming onto the toes, feeling the calves engage, and then lower them back down again. On the next inhale, just press into the mat with your feet. We're not going anywhere, but just pressing. Can you still feel that energy all the way up into the legs, into that lower core, starting to engage? So without lifting anything, we're just going to inhale, keep pressing, and exhale, release. On the next inhale, press into the feet. See how that lower back sort of flattens into the mat, the core engages, the energy draws all the way up the legs, and the pelvic area starts to rock and roll. So as we're pressing into and inhaling, the pelvis and tailbone sort of lift up, and then as you exhale, they roll down, and that natural arch into the belly comes in. One more. So all this is just awareness of what our feet and our body are doing. On the next inhale, as we press into the feet, the same as what we've been doing, no lifting of the hips, but we're going to take the arms up and over. So as we inhale, take the arms up and over, and then as we exhale, bring them back down again. One more of those. Inhale, pressing into the feet, lifting the arms up and over. And as we exhale, take the arms back down by our sides, and we soften in the feet and allow that natural curve in the back of the spine. Okay. This time we're going to bring the hips with us. So as we inhale, press into the feet, we start to lift the hips, we lift the arms, they come up and over. Lovely stretch into that belly. Notice what's going on with the balls of the feet. If the knees are going out, can you press into the balls? Can you lift the hips a bit higher and draw those knees to the back of the room? And then exhale, lower the hips and the arms, using the whole of the exhale to come down. Vertebrae by vertebrae, take your time. And if I start moving and you're not quite there, follow your breath, go to your rhythm. When you're ready, doing another one, lifting, pressing into the balls of the feet, making sure the whole of the foot is engaged. Knees are drawing away from you, hips are lifting. And then as we exhale, we come back down again. Lovely. And then just one more of those. Inhaling, lifting in your own time. And then waiting for that exhale to just happen naturally as you then lower back down towards the ground. Lovely. Let's draw the knees in and let's take a little roll into the back. Okay. So from here, we're going to keep the right knee in. We're going to extend out the left leg. So feel that lovely stretch in the front of the thigh, getting into that hip flexor. We've been working really hard. Flexing that extended leg and the foot that's bent, or the knee that's bent, the foot on the knee that's bent. And then start to draw that right knee out towards the right armpit. And then exhale, drawing it across over towards the left, coming into a bit of a twist and just opening up. Just releasing off the lower back from some of that work that we've been doing. Taking one breath here, and then we inhale, coming back. Squeeze that knee back in, and then swap over legs. So let's bring in that left knee. Squeeze it in, extending out the right, flexing the foot on both legs. Squeezing, 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 feeling that lovely stretch across the top of the thigh, into the hip flexors that we've been working, and then drawing that knee out towards that left armpit, feeling that little squeeze, and then exhaling as we draw that left knee over towards the right side, just extending the opposite arm, the left arm out, just for a moment, really just releasing out any of those areas that might have got a bit tense while we were doing our core work. And I'm afraid there's more core work now. So then drawing the knee back and then bringing both knees in. Now you can either roll to one side and come up to a seated position with the knees bent. If you know you're working with any lower back issues or anything in the neck, that might be worthwhile doing. Otherwise, it's take the arms or the hands behind the thighs, and with a bit of momentum using the feet, we're going to start to rock and roll up. And rock and roll up for about 5 times. So we're just going to start to massage into the lower back. Just enjoying, seeing if you can hover those feet as you come up. Starting to use that core that we've already started to activate. That 5th roll, we come up and we hover, and then we come back into that boat pose. So lifting those legs up if that's where you had them, keeping the hands behind the thighs if you prefer, or taking the hands out. So we should feel a little bit more stronger now. We've been working on this area. We can either draw the legs together or we can keep them apart, whatever works for you, pointing or flexing again. Okay, lovely. We're going to take the hands behind us. We're going to straighten the legs now. And then we're going to exhale, lower the right leg, keeping the left leg lifted. Inhale, back up with the right. Exhale, lower with the left, keeping the right leg lifted. Inhale, lift. Now if you're really, really shaking, feel free to come down onto the forearms. Exhale, lower the right, might be harder. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, lowering with the left. Shaking is good. I'm having a good old shake over here. And then lifting. And now, maybe you want to play with the arms coming up onto the hands or the forearms. And we're going to exhale, lower both legs together. If that's too much, just continue with the other legs. My mat slipping. Inhale, lifting up. Woo! Exhale, lower. Inhale, lifting. And then releasing back down again. Coming all the way down to the ground. And just releasing and softening and letting go. So a real core workout today. As we lay here on the ground, just let the body sink into the earth and just all the muscles release, bones become heavy. And come back to that breathing exercise that we did. Maybe soften the eyes or even close the eyes. So breathing into the chest for one. Just stepping back into that parasympathetic nervous system. Breathing into the ribs for two. And then breathing into the belly. Lovely. And then we're going to take the right arm up and over, and we're going to roll onto our belly. So just roll very gently over, and if you roll off your mat, I've doubled mine up, so just roll and just shuffle yourself back. Coming into a Sphinx pose. So spreading those fingers, elbows underneath the ribs, and we're just going to get a little stretch into the belly here. So drawing the pelvis towards the mat, the belly draws back and underneath those ribs. Press into the forearms and draw those hands towards you. So we start to open up in the chest. So a little back bend here, just making sure there's no pinching or any discomfort in the lower back, and if there is, then we're going to just open up the legs or maybe take the arms a little further away or forward, and that will release off the back bend. And if the back's not wanting to back bend today, then just come into whatever position feels good for you and have a rest if you want to continue to rest. But if this is feeling good, we're going to take the hands to the edges of our mat. We're going to lift the elbows. We're going to lift it a little bit higher. So we'll feel that stretch. And we're pressing that pelvis down into the mat and drawing the belly back. We should feel a lovely stretch into the abdomen as well here. Lovely. And then exhale, lower. Take the hands underneath the shoulders towards the ribs. And we're going to push up to all fours. Coming into that all fours position and just placing the knees roughly underneath the hips and wrists underneath the shoulders. Spreading the fingers nice and wide, pressing into the pads of the fingers. I'm going to do a couple of cat-cows. Inhaling, dropping the belly, taking the gaze forward and squeezing those shoulders down your back. Then as we exhale, we round, draw the chin in. So just keep moving through a few cat-cows. So what we really want in our cat-cows is almost like a seamless movement from one to the other, and bending and softening the elbows between each transition, always keeping softness into the joints, never locking them out. And when we come into that cow position with the belly dropped and the gaze forward and squeezing the shoulders away, let's not yank the neck up, just take it just in front of the top of your mat. So it's extension of the spine, we're not straining it. And then when we exhale and move round, we push all the air out, we draw the chin in, and we really push into the fingertips and feel that space between the shoulders open up. One more of each of those, just loosening off the spine. Lovely. And then we're going to start to come back into that neutral position and start to use some of that core work that we've just been doing. So from here, just setting those hands, maybe lifting and placing the hands back into the mat, just making sure we've got distribution evenly, because we're going to start to balance on one side and then the other. So when you're ready, I want you to inhale, extend the right arm out, draw the belly back, press into that left hand so it's engaged into the mat. And then you can either stay here or we're going to extend out with the left opposite leg. So when we do that, what happens is the belly switches off. So draw the belly back, so we press into the shin of the right leg that's grounded. So we've got our left leg extended, right leg extended, nice. And then I'm just going to move over on that. You need a bit of space around you here. So then from this position here, already this is hard work, but we're going to bring the knee and the elbow towards one another. So as we exhale, rounding in the back, drawing the chin in and bring the knee to the elbow. And then inhale, extend back out again. But keeping pressing into the hand and the shin, drawing the belly back. Let's go again, exhaling in. Nice and steady and really slow. Inhaling, extending, flexing that foot once you extend it, even if you start to point it as you draw in. And again. Lovely. So we should be feeling quite strong in the core. The gaze should be just to the top of your mat and then extending back out. Now we're going to start to work on those side oblique muscles, so the side core. So we're going to extend the right arm out to the side and bring the left leg to the left side. Flexing. Ooh, can you feel those hip flexors? And then inhaling, coming back. So there's one more. Exhaling as we draw the arm out to the right, the leg to the left. Press into that front arm, even if the leg sort of lowers, it doesn't matter. Coming back. And then lowering the hand and the knee. Let's round into our cat. That should feel quite nice. And then inhaling into our cow. Taking the hips back. Let's sweep the arms along the floor and behind us, reaching just beyond the feet. Open up the chest and open up those shoulders. And if it feels nice and you've got space, you want to press into the shins and lift the hips as well, you can do. Just take the gaze up, protect the neck, always softness of the neck and never straining it. And then lower back down again. Let's inhale, lift the arms up and over. So we come onto our knees, onto our shins, draw the pelvis forward. Let's interlace the thumb and then spread the other fingers. So we're just pulling on those thumbs, opening and stretching the arms as well. Maybe a little back bend here, but make sure the core's switched on, glutes engaged. And then exhale as we lower back down, palms into our chest. And then walk the hands back out to all fours again. So we're going to come onto the other side. Just before we do, turning towards your left with your hips and your head. And then back to centre. Then over towards the right. Doing that one more time, just to get into the side body, just loosening off anything that's feeling tight after that movement. Okay, so good core work today, guys. It's not easy, and when you slow it down, it gets harder. Whoever said yoga was easy? Okay, so setting up here, just making sure the hands are where they need to be. I'm just going to move my block out of the way. And then when you're ready, we're going to first of all focus on lifting the left arm. So when we lift that arm, spread the fingers, keep them wide. Notice what's going on with the right side of the body, right arm. This might be your weaker side. So maybe you want to adjust the hand to a position that feels good. Try not to lock out the elbow if you can. And then we're coming into that opposite side. So we're going to press into the left shin as we extend the right leg out long. And your option is just to keep the leg down and just work with the arms. You're absolutely welcome to do so. Flexing that foot behind you. Now what's happened, your belly dropped down. Can you draw the belly back, engage, turn the toes down of the foot that's back so we can align the hips. Then when you're ready, exhaling, drawing the knee and the elbow in and rounding the back. So you really push into that front foot. And then coming back out long. I'm just tucking my toe because I've got cramp, so ignore me. But you can tuck your toe or you can flatten your back toe. It's entirely up to you. And then slowly coming back in again. Really rounding the back, pushing into that shin and that hand, drawing the chin in if you can as well. Shaking is good. Inhaling, extending, flexing that foot behind you, reaching forward with the left arm. Draw the belly back again, always checking in. One more. And then extending back out again. Nice. Now, at any point you need to come out and have a break, you can do. So this might be your opportunity. But we're going to continue from here. Otherwise, as we take the next exhale, we take the left arm out to the left and the right foot towards the right side. Can you feel the outer edge of those hips? We'll stretch them out after and then come back to centre. nice and slowly. So using the breath, so find a resting point that isn't moving, focus on it, maybe the top of your mat, and then as we exhale, we come out to the sides again, draw the belly in at the same time, so we know that core's engaged, and then back to center. Awesome work, guys. One more, we can do it, come on. And out to the side. I know this is strong work, but you're going to feel amazing for it afterwards. Draw the belly back, and then come back, arm long, leg long, lower the hand down, the foot down. This time take the knees wide, soles of the feet together, or toes together, and then we're going to just sink back into those hips. Take the arms as nice and long and wide as you can, and take the forehead into the mat. So just settling there into your wide leg child's pose. Breathing into the body, taking some lovely deep breaths into the side of the body, into the side of the lungs. Breathing into the lower back, breathing into the middle back, and breathing into that space between your shoulder blades, softening the arms, the shoulders, letting everything go. Awesome work, guys. Okay, so from our child's pose here, we're grounding it all down now. The hard work is over. Let's inhale, push into hands and shins, bring the knees back under. And we're just going to simply drop to the hips, turn around, and then lower towards the ground. The option is, if you're still feeling you want to do last bit of core work on the way down, you can follow me. Otherwise, just come onto your back and laying down. Otherwise, we're going to extend the feet out, heels into the mat, flexing the toes, take the arms out in front of us in line with the shoulders. And as you draw that belly in, we're going to lower ourselves towards the ground, keeping the heels in contact with the mat nice and slowly. We can breathe in and out as many times as you need to. It's just about keeping that awareness on the core to lower ourselves down. And if we start shaking, we might flop at one point. See if you can make it all the way down with control. Ooh, I had a little wobble. And then when you get there, stretch the body. Left, right, both sides together, whatever feels good for you. And then draw the knees in, drop them over towards the right side. Take the left arm into that cactus arm, so bent at the elbow if that feels good. And just release, soften. Lovely deep breaths into the left side of the body. Switching on the core as you bring the knees back and then draw them over towards that left side. Cactusing, bending at the elbow on the right side now, so that shoulder should be nice and open. And if there's anything else that you feel that your body needs after this, then feel free to do so. Otherwise, we're going to take one more breath here. Bring the knees back, give them a little squeeze, draw the chin up towards the knees, and then we're going to take the legs long and come into a very quick Shavasana, turning the palms up. You're always welcome to extend your Shavasana beyond the time that we have together, but otherwise, as we settle into the earth here, and feel free to come onto your side. You don't have to lay on your back. You can have your knees bent as well. But if we are laying on our back, draw the chin in, wiggle those shoulders down the mat. Let's squeeze and tense the toes and the fists, and then as we exhale, release and let go. Let the breath become effortless. Let the body become heavy. Noticing what's going on in the body, any sensations, what you can feel, whether that's physical, energetic, or emotional. Sometimes when we work through these tight areas, we can store our emotions there. So if we're feeling a little exhausted and tired and maybe emotional, maybe it's just tiredness that we've been pushing down and not paying attention to. It's okay. let that just wash over you. Sometimes we turn up to the mat and we are tired, our bodies are tired, and we need to respect that and bring it into our practice. And core work is never easy. Just breathing, following that breath in and out of the body. And if you've got more time, I invite you to stay here and just continue your Shavasana. But if you need to wrap up with me, I'm going to just invite a little bit of movement into the fingers and the toes. We're going to bend one knee at a time, place the foot gently into the mat. Take a deep breath into the belly, and as we exhale, roll over to whichever side invites you. Take a moment here, take another breath. And with the eyes closed, gently pushing in with the hands, moving really slowly, taking that practice, staying inside and coming into a seated position, not worrying about where you land. And once we're in that upright position, if that bit of dizziness comes into the body, it's fine, it's just the blood pressure readjusting, the head back over the heart. And then we're going to wrap up here, guys. Awesome work. So let's take a lovely deep breath in, sweeping the arms, squeezing the shoulder blades back, spreading those fingers and really scooping up all that energy that you've created in and around you, back into those palms, up and over the head, and then down through the center, brushing that third eye, your intuition, knowing what you know about your body, listening to it, past the lips, speaking kind words to yourself first and foremost and to others, and then back into that heart space. Pausing there as you draw all that energy back into your body, into your heart, into your soul, and we close our practice. Namaste. Great work today, guys. And if you're still laying down having a Shavasana, enjoy the rest of your Shavasana. It's well deserved. I would love to have given a longer one because that was very energetic work. Your core's going to be feeling it tomorrow, but it's all good. Hope you feel great and energized. Have an awesome rest of the day, evening, wherever you are, and see you on the mat soon.